focus.
What is the difference between a raven and a crow?
Oh, thank you.
I love to see people pay attention to the ravens, but I get asked, is that a raven or a crow everywhere I go? So I'm going to show you how to tell the difference between the two birds, even when they're high in the sky. One of the smartest things I did when I was learning to become a chef was I took the time to become a sommelier also. If you saw the movie Somm, you saw we learn a meticulous method to not only tell the difference between the different grape varieties and the regions they come from, we use all of our senses to be able to look for the minute differences even between grapes grown on the valley floor and those grown on a hillside. So here I've put together something similar to help you tell the difference between a raven and a crow. In the western United States, the two I work with most are the common raven and the American crow. Now we're just going to start with the adult birds. We'll start by looking at the size and shape of the body, beak, wings, and tail, and then we'll consider its actions while it's landing, sitting, and flying. Next, we'll listen to the bird's various sounds and calls, and then that'll help you come to the conclusion, is this a raven or a crow? Let's start with size. Now, when looking at the birds, you can see side by side, it's an obvious difference, but rarely do you see them side by side in the wild. Crow weighs about a pound to a pound and a half, and a raven is about 3 pounds, almost twice the size. Also pay attention to the bill or the beak. You'll notice the crow's is smaller and sharper. A raven's is larger and thicker. Also, a raven many times will have a hook on the end of its beak. A crow will not. Now when they're flying in the sky or above you, you'll see the raven is much thicker. With a wingspan of 46 to 54 inches, a crow has a wingspan of only 32 to about 38 inches. As a crow is coming at you, watch the tail, and then the raven's tail. It's more diamond-shaped, where a crow's seems cut off and may have a little nick in it. A raven also has thick throat hackles that a crow does not have. Now let's look at the actions. A crow, when it lands, seems far more nervous, will flit its feathers and will bob up and down. When a raven lands, it's much more secure. There are exceptions. In high winds, a raven will land and will adjust itself to the high winds. It appear like it's flitting, but actually it's just gaining its balance. Also notice when a crow is making its call, it will bob up and down as it does so. When a raven makes its call, it usually just kind of leans forward and kind of flaps its wings up and down in very short motions, like this. When the birds are flying, you'll notice that a crow does a lot more flapping of its wings. That's because it cannot soar the way a raven does. When a raven's in the air, if it can, it will soar, and it's a beauty to watch. And here we use the Grand Canyon and a number of ravens to show you what a raven can do. Now, crows may glide as they're descending down to the ground, but for the most part, they cannot soar, and they certainly can't catch the thermals and go high in the air the way a raven will. You may also notice when a crow is making a lot of racket in the air, it's trying to drive out an intruder in its area. Notice the crow dive bombs its opponent, and ravens take great pride in getting crows to chase them. But crows will do this with hawks also. Now when a raven has an intruder in the area, it tends to escort it out, flying with it rather than dive bombing it. Now to me this is the most important part. Listen, because ravens don't speak crow. Crows make a caw, 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 and that's their number one call. Listen to them when they get together as a group. Notice the crow's pitch is much higher. And listen in this next segment and you'll hear crows clicking and cawing and one raven going cronk, cronk, cronk. See, to me, crows sound very different than ravens. And here's the one raven again. Ravens are also known to make a much larger variety of sounds. A raven pushes a lot of wind with its wings, so its wings will actually make sound when it's going over your head. A crow will not do this. Listen. Okay, one last thing, and this is one of my favorites because I have never seen a crow make this move. A raven will fold its wings and drop upside down, sometimes for hundreds of feet. Both the male and female ravens do this, sometimes right after one another and sometimes in unison. In high winds, they'll repeat this move over and over again.
Double dive. The drop again? Oh, right in front of me. Thank you very much. That was like perfect.
Two other birds that can be confusing are the juvenile ravens and the turkey vultures. Ravens, when they're young, tend to act more like crows, so therefore it can be quite confusing. Not only that, their feathers aren't grown out all the way, so they don't seem quite as big as an adult raven. However, I find the sounds different, much more screamish than the crow's caw, caw, caw. But in addition to the sound, the size and the pink mouth are a dead giveaway. It's a juvenile raven. And then there's the turkey vulture. Of course, on the ground, it doesn't look anything like a raven. High up in the sky, sometimes it can fool you at first. But if you watch, turkey vultures tend to rock, they have lighter colored feathers underneath, and their head appears small. So in review, ravens are bigger. Their beak is thicker. Their wingspan is longer. Their tail has more of a wedge or a diamond shape. A raven's actions are more calm. Crow appears more nervous. When flying, the crow flaps and yaps. A raven does a lot more soaring. He's the one that's going to catch the thermals and ride them high into the sky. Whereas a crow would have to flap to get that high. And finally, take time to listen to them. The crow, for the most part, is pretty limited to its caw, 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 which is his most common call, and also the clicking sound. Now, it will make more sounds, and especially the young ones, but for the most part, they never make the same types of sounds that ravens make.
Come on. Thank you. Something else? Can you talk to me? What do you got to say? There we go.
Just know that both young ravens and young crows will chatter and make sounds like these. And then just let me leave you with a quick one of a baby crow, an adult crow, and a raven, all together.
Did you get that crow? Huh? Would you get that crow? That's perfect. Caw and a rock. Great difference between the two. Hey, bud, thank you.
Test your knowledge with our Raven and Crow test.
Hey.
You can see more of our videos and learn much more about the common raven on both our Vimeo channel and our YouTube. Check out the Raven Diaries, our numerous books and movies, and then get out in the wild and enjoy these magnificent birds.
What are you doing, huh? You gonna dive for me? Dive for me in that pretty sun?